What's up, everybody? Chris Fluke here. This is the Weekly Word, February 19th edition. I missed a few weeks. It's been a crazy couple weeks. A few Thursdays ago, we'll say. Daughter has croup. We go, take her into the hospital, get treated, get out of there. A few days later, that night, slept 2.5 hours. Next day, drive to Boston. Go to a conference on Saturday. Drive home Sunday. Monday, start not feeling great. Work out, awful. No energy. Work throughout the day. And next thing you know, I got the chills and I'm shaking and my teeth are chattering. Then I'm hot. Then I'm sweating. Then you can see the sweat drops coming off me. Then I'm freezing again. That was Monday night. Tuesday, ill. Just laid in bed. Wednesday, a little bit better, 50%. Thursday's like 70%. Then it's like I got to get back to my normal life, which basically led me to 1 week of basically just totally doing nothing outside of what I needed to do. Outside of responsibilities as a parent and as a business owner. I guess I canceled a few days, but now we're back and running. I still have a cough. You probably just heard it like 35 seconds ago. My voice is not back totally. Still have a little bit of a cough. Still annoying. Possibly had the flu. Don't really know. But we're surviving here, man, and we're moving forward. First time in a long time I got sick, man. I haven't been sick in ages. Last time I remember being sick was college, maybe. Maybe strep throat situation. Something like that. I don't know. But this kind of illness, man, it's been a while. So, like I said, I went to Boston, and I got to see two people that it's like they're like these mentors that I never met. I did meet them there, but prior to this conference, these were the two guys that really like molded who I was as like a coach working with kids, and then just like overall mentality towards training and kind of life in general. So Mike Boyle is the guy that kind of got me in the right direction in terms of working with athletes. Dan John works with world-class athletes, but he also has this big picture type mentality. His book Easy Strength kind of changed my life in the sense of what I was going to do with my training, for myself, but then also with clients. And what's really important, sometimes it's like both these guys are just all about keeping it basic, mastering the basics, getting really good at those basics, and then training in your sport to get better at your sport. So, Mike Boyle. Basically, we're just going to go over some of these key points that, I found interesting and I found great because, when we talk about aging, both of these guys kind of hit on it. They're both in their 60s. You have to take care of yourself. So, Mike Boyle's like, you lose 1.7 more power than strength each year. So, each year you're going to lose a certain amount of strength, but you're also going to lose whatever that number may be. Say it's 1% of strength is going to equal 1.7% of power. And you're thinking to yourself, well, what the heck does power have to do with anything? Power is that ability to be reactive. So, if you lose your balance a little bit and you have to stumble, power is that ability to react and catch yourself real quick with that foot. If you don't have power, if you don't have strength and you don't have power, not only are you weak, but you lose that ability to react quickly. And that could be the difference between falling and smashing your hip or being bedridden for a while. So improving strength and also improving power over the long haul is what's going to probably keep you healthy and keep you out of nursing homes. So another thing you mentioned with the nursing home situation is that once we lose our ability to rotate our spine, twist and do daily activities, and also flex our spine, so you just got a super stiff back. Once we lose that ability, there's really not a lot we can do on our own. So, he's like, you end up in a nursing home when you can't flex and rotate the spine. So as we get older, as we age, we need to continue to keep our strength the best we can, fight Father Time in that regard, because once you hit your mid-30s, we'll say strength, you're going to start decreasing strength. So if you're able to fight that, if you're able to maintain and hold the line in the strength department, you're winning a losing battle, basically. Maintain strength. Maintain power. Stay mobile in the spine. Be able to flex and rotate. Now, with mobility, you want just enough mobility, but you don't want to be so mobile that you don't have the stability to control it. So we have to keep that in mind. You see those people that can kind of totally flex, fold over, put their hands on the floor, there's some people I know that those are the ones that they have too much looseness going on in there. They don't have the strength inside here, in that core, in that column, in that pillar, whatever you want to call it, to control all of that mobility in their spine. So that thing's important. Now, when we start working with athletes, working with kids, one insight that he had is that, ACL tears don't happen at 90 degrees. So we do a lot of stuff linear where you're just jumping over hurdles, say, on one leg. You're jumping over forward, forward. Then you're going to jump sideways 90 degrees, and then you're going to jump forward, forward. And in his mind, it's like, how often do you see in athletics these 90-degree cuts, sharp 90-degree cuts, like the corner of a square? It doesn't really happen much. It's more, this stuff's happening at 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 68 degrees, whatever the number may be. So when we start training, we're going to have to start training in zigzag patterns. If we're doing single leg jumps, instead of jumping laterally, it might have to be jumped at a diagonal, at an angle. And then you're going to jump at another angle, going this way. And you kind of work your way in these type of patterns. You change the angle of a jump. Maybe some jumps are at 45, some are at 60, some are at 68, some are at 90, some are at 100, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Change the angle of the jumps. Change the angle of your cuts. Don't be so one-dimensional. Don't do tons of cone drills, because it gets down to the point where, hey, we're doing a cone drill, and instead of getting better at skills that are going to translate to the football field or whatever field, you're just getting better at the drill. And sometimes getting better at the drill doesn't always mean better at the skill of the sport that you play. So it's about skills. It's not necessarily about drills. Use these drills, use these agility drills, stuff like that as your warm-up to get the body firing, to work on that reactive, being able to be reactive. But you don't want to spend a ton of time working on, cone drills, because at the end of the day, there's no cones on the field of play. Sports are chaotic, they are unpredictable, and when you have cones, it's predictable. And if the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. So that's something to keep in mind as well. It's about the skills that translate to sports, not always about the drills. Look at your sport, see what's going on. See that these cuts aren't happening at 90 degrees. See some other stuff here. See that your athletes are running, no more than 12 yards at a time before they have to stop and change direction. Implement that stuff in your programming. Great quote from Mike Boyle. It's our job to turn bags of dirt into basketballs. What does that mean? You stand on the back of a truck, you have a bag of dirt, you drop that bag of dirt, and what does it do? Plops on the ground and it stays there. So you drop a basketball and that thing, boom, reacts to the ground and comes right back up. It's our job to turn these kids, these athletes that we work with, into the basketball. So once they do hit the ground, it's not that sharp, it's not that thud, it's like bang, bang, and you're getting in and out of there real quick. You're able to react, you're able to hit the ground and then react to it immediately. That's what our goal is as coaches in the strength and conditioning field. And I thought it was a great quote, great analogy, and you don't want to call a kid a bag of dirt, but it is our job to get these individuals that we work with, to get them more springy, get them more reacting in a shorter amount of time. On the flip side of that too is, there's two more points here I think I want to get to. Is that the number one is like, a lot of people come in and they're like, hey, I want my kid to get faster. Mike Boyle said the biggest game changer he's had in his training is timed 10-yard runs. Maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, they'll time their 10-yard sprints, and they'll do some different stuff. They'll fly into it from 5 yards out, give kids a little bit of a running start. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, this is your 10-yard time. We want to get faster. And he's seen huge increases in speed just by telling kids what their times are and by timing them and competing every week. That was one thing. So when parents come in and they're like, I want my kid to get faster, the first question is, all right, well, how fast is your kid? If you don't know how fast the kid is, how are you going to get them faster? So that was one big insight that he has, that he's like, I wish I did this 10 years ago. But whatever. He didn't do it. I'm going to do it now. So thank you, Mike. The other thing was, when we look at these athletes, let's use track and field as an example. There's that one Olympics, I think it was 1988. It was Ben Johnson, jacked. Granted, he might have been on a little bit of the steroids. But Ben Johnson is jacked, and he's going against Carl Lewis, who's a little leaner, not as broad, not as thick, not as much muscle mass. And these guys went back and forth on who was winning, who was not. So you look at these two guys. One guy hammered the weights in the weight room, heavy squats, heavy bench presses, this and that. That was Ben Johnson. Carl Lewis, he didn't seem to be a big proponent of the weight room. But what did they have in common? They were both Olympic-level sprinters. So what do you think their training consisted of? sprinting and running fast. So when you start thinking about what your sport asks of you, track and field, throwers throw, jumpers jump, sprinters sprint. That's what you should be practicing primarily. That weight room stuff matters, but it doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. If you could be the strongest person in the world, we'll get to some of these Dan John quotes, but one of them is, look like Tarzan, plays like Jane. Just because you dominate in the weight room doesn't mean you're going to dominate on the field. Figure out what you do, what you need to do for your sport, what you need to do to get better at your sport. Make sure you focus on that stuff, because that's kind of what matters. Once you're at the higher levels, not for the 7-year-old. The 7-year-old, we got to build the foundation up. But once you get older, and it's all about maintaining, getting a little bit better in the weight room, and then from there, really just trying to dominate your sport. So I thought that was all good stuff, man. No, I got one more good one from Mike Boyle. He's known for saying some controversial things. He was talking about distance running, and he's not really big on conditioning. And he said one great way to make your kids not athletic is to have them run distance when they're 10, 11, 12, when their muscle fibers are still have the potential to kind of transform a little bit to the fast twitch or the slow twitch variety. So he said, if you ask somebody what they want to look like, a personal training client, say an adult, and they'll never, he said, they never bring you a picture of a Kenyan runner. They might bring you a picture of Ben Johnson, but they're never going to bring in that Kenyan marathoner, that tall, skinny dude with zero muscle mass, really. So just keep that in mind with your training. You start doing too much cardiovascular work, you might end up eating away at some of those muscle tissues. So Dan John Tom, this guy's the man. Favorite, read all of his books, listen to every episode of his podcast. What else do I do? Read his articles, do his programs, have people do his programs. Pretty much follow anything and everything that this man has to say. So a few things, like I said earlier, jumpers jump, throwers throw, sprinters sprint. It's that simple sometimes when you listen to Mike Boyle and Dan John. The body is one piece, so it should be trained that way. We don't train like Frankenstein. We don't have an arms day. We don't have we don't have quads. We don't have a core day. We don't have shoulders day. We don't have chest day. We train as one piece. We pick weights up overhead. These are the oldest isms ever. When it comes to training, we put weights overhead and we pick them up off the ground. We're talking overhead presses, we're talking jerks, we're talking snatches, any of that nature. We got to get weight up overhead. And then the other thing is we got to pick weight up off the ground, and we got to carry stuff for distance. And then lastly, his last point here is all training is complementary. So each thing should complement one another. A better farmer's walk, where you pick up 2 heavy weights and walk, will probably translate to improvements in your deadlift technique because of that core stability going on, and this lateral stuff, getting super stable in their pillar. A good, strong overhead press, having the ability to brace your core and press heavy loads overhead, that's going to translate to other stuff too. So all the training is complementary. He talked about asymmetric wrists, so things that we do in our training. I was talking about this, trying to, Dan John said, hey, all men should be able to, snatch their body weight. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to snatch my body weight. I try to hit a deep squat. When I catch the snatch, I'm like, not for me. Too much of a risk-reward situation there. But what he talks about here is kind of mitigating risk, and he talks about asymmetric risk. One of these things is putting on your seatbelt. What's the downside of putting on your seatbelt? You might get a little belt discomfort around your belly or something. It's totally asymmetric risk, because in an ideal world, we wouldn't need a seatbelt. In an ideal world, we wouldn't worry about somebody hitting us. But we don't live in an ideal world. Somebody could smack into your car, and that seatbelt could put years on your life. It could save your life. That is one of these key things too. Other things like go to the dentist, go to the doctor, get your eyes checked, brush your teeth. Obviously, floss your teeth. I meant to say, brush your teeth. I hope is an obvious one. Brush your teeth, floss your teeth. Things like that. Take care of your mouth, take care of your body, walk, lift weights, keep strength going, things like that. We want to be flexible, but in order to be flexible, but what is flexible? It's being resilient. It's being strong. We want to be flexible but strong, and we want to be strong but flexible. And he talked about a car. He talked about a car and a chain link, right? He said he got out and took a picture of this. He saw a chain. He saw a car that smacked over a tree but got caught on the chain link fence. Why did it get caught on the chain link fence? Number one, the fence was strong, but number two, it was flexible enough. So when the car hit it, it was able to bend, but it didn't break. And that's kind of what our body should be able to do. They should be strong, they should be resilient, but there should be some flexibility component to it. So we're able to bend but not break when we get ourselves into some uncompromising situations. And, you know, you talk about, some of these great quotes that he has. And they're all from his mentors. And his track coach Ralph Mon, little and often over the long haul. That's what life should be about. Being able to do stuff a little bit each day, being able to wake up feeling good, being able to train, being able to go for a walk, a little bit each day, and over time that stuff adds, that stuff builds up. Then next thing you know, when you look at the end of your week, you looked at you were out walking for over 3 hours. You got 3 or 4 lifts in at the gym. You got to take a nap, maybe you got to meditate, you relax a little bit. Go enjoy the walk with your significant other, whatever it may be. So, being able to do stuff a little bit over the long haul is kind of the way to go. He's 63, like I previously mentioned. He said, at my age, it's statistically better for me to get cancer than it is to fall. He talked about, what Mike Boyle was saying. We got to be able to bend. We got to be able to keep our strength, and we got to be able to react. If you're getting out of that shower and your foot slides, are you going to be able to react and catch yourself? That's super important. That's super crucial, and it could literally save your life. It could literally add years to your life. Some other stuff too that he talked about adding years to his life, and I talked about on a podcast yesterday. It's that friendship thing. And in his opinion, in his mind, for longevity, we need to have a tapestry of friendships, is what he called it. And he speculates this, and he hypothesizes this, that the benefits of coffee and like drinking red wine, there's antioxidant benefits and this, that, and the other thing. But in his mind, in his opinion, it's that ability to get together with some friends and maybe just talk over a cup of coffee, or get some few laughs and over a glass of wine. It's you're having a bad day and your buddy's like, hey man, you want to just go get a cup of coffee and talk about it? Next thing you know, your spirits are lifted. So it's getting together with friends. It's taking time out of your schedule to spend time with friends, get some good laughs in, get some quality conversation in, and just to kind of maintain and keep those friendships over your life. Maybe you go out for a walk with your friends or whoever it may be. So, that's crucial, and I think it's a key for longevity. It's one of those really important factors is maintaining friendships. Maybe it's one area that I think I need to work on, especially after doing some reading and actually visiting this conference. I'm like, I might need to take some time out of the old schedule of mine to get out and spend some time with friends. But it's tough. It's hard to rationalize. You'll have so much X amount of time home with your daughter, say, or your significant other, and it's like, so instead of spending time with you, I'm going to go out with some of my boys. It's hard that, but I think it's important to do that over the long haul. One great thing he has, the Jurassic Park question. He's a huge fan of this book, which I never read, and apparently it's an incredible book. That and the second one, Lost World. Those are going to be the next two. When I get done with my seminar on Sunday, I'm reading 2 fiction books. It's going to be Jurassic Park and then Lost World, because I've been diving into these topics. I'm like, my brain's fried a little bit, and I need to kind of wind it down a bit. So, the Jurassic Park question: could we do X? Should we do X? Those are 2 key questions that come up when you're training. Hey, could we do 100 burpees today? Could you do 100 burpees? Yes. Should we do 100 burpees? Probably not. We're talking about risk factors again. You might end up, people talk about the word tweak. You might tweak something if you're doing that. So, could we, could we push a car down a main busy intersection? You could. Should you? Probably not, just because of the potential of getting hit. Could we run a marathon the day before track meet? Yeah, you could. Should you? No. Yeah, I think you get the idea, right? Could you do X? Should you do X? 2 important questions whenever you make any kind of decision. He's just got some great stuff in terms of training the core. Rotate on the field. Say if you play a sport, you're probably doing a lot of rotational stuff on the field. Let's train the anti-rotation. We're talking about, Stu McGill's a guy that is the back. He's kind of like the go-to guy for back stuff. It's all about and resisting rotation at the spine is what's going to keep it healthy. So we should have the ability to rotate, but we should have the stability and the strength to not let external forces rotate us in a way that we can't control. We pick up a weight in one hand. We should have the strength to keep a good posture and stay upright. These are the things that we're talking about with anti-rotation, anti-lateral flexion, anti-extension. And any plank that you do is an anti-extension exercise. When you're doing a push-up, it should be anti-extension. You don't want your lower back to get into that hyperextension situation. Ab rollouts, anything like that. It's about keeping a good, strong pillar, keeping your spine neutral, keeping a good spine position, and being able to withstand some external force or an external load while keeping that good position. Where else are we here? Great stuff. You know, you're not in the ability to do farmer's walks. Pick up weights in each hand and just march in place. Go ahead, try it out. It's not easy. You know, you don't want to get people on the ground. There's ways you could go about it. Vertical bird dogs. You know, I'm not going to try to explain it. Go to Dan John, vertical bird dogs. If you're having trouble getting on the ground, you can still get some. You could still get the benefits of the exercise, the bird dog, but you're in a standing position. You know, get back ups. You know, try this out with somebody. Tell them to lay on their belly, get back up. Lay on your right side, get back up. Lay on your left side, get back up. Lay on your back, get back up. Touch your right knee, lay on your back, get back up. All you're doing is putting them in these weird and awkward positions, telling them to go to the ground and get back up. Sounds like some cruel and unusual punishment, but at the end of it, there's a cardiovascular component to it. You're teaching them, and you're getting comfortable getting up and down off the ground, which as you age, which has been a recurring theme here, as you age, being able to get up and down off the ground is going to be crucial. You know. And then, of course, Dan John. His names are incredible. You know, Snapacity is one thing. You know, he's got the Bulgarian goat back swing. He just puts ridiculous names on things just to kind of mess with people, I think, sometimes. Hinge, his Snapacity, being able to snap that elastic stuff that we've been talking about and being able to do it over the long haul. So it's about the ability to generate that power over the long haul. So it's not just 1, 2, 3 times and you got such fatigue in that your power, your output is totally diminished. You want to be able to do that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times, and that's what work capacity is. So it's having that ability to snap and being reactive, but then doing it over the long haul. Sled pushes, farmer's walks, things like that. That's what's going to build your work capacity. Doing exercises for 45 to 75 seconds, like a farmer's walk, is going to boost that work capacity. Going on these long walks, walking up hills, that's going to boost your work capacity. Then lastly, man, a great story here. Well, you know, his goal too, he's 63 years old. Two things. His goal, he wants to be able to dance at his granddaughter's wedding. So I think his granddaughter's probably around the age of my daughter, who's 2 years old, about to be 2 years old. So Dan John, man, hopefully your granddaughter gets married in the next 30 years. If not, you might be triple digits, brother. And lastly, he had a good story. So, you know, I thought this was a real story, but it's not. It ended up being a fabrication. You know, there's a kid, he's in theology class, and, you know, somebody rows across the creek to go pick him up from class and to take him home. And as they're on this boat and they're going, it's like, hey, what did you learn today? And the kid said, you know, I learned about, you know, Adam and Eve. I learned about Cain and Abel. I learned about Exodus. I learned about a crucifixion. I learned about a resurrection. All these great things that this kid names. And, you know, the guy that's rowing is listening and like, oh, that's great, that's great. And he's like, well, did they teach you how to swim today? And the kid is like, no, that's not important. Why would they teach me how to swim? And he said, he's like, well, our boat is sinking. So basically, I guess the gist of that story is this. It is great to kind of learn all these things, but we also have to be useful in our lives. We have to be able to, you know, face some of these things that might come at us that we can't control, and we're going to have to be able to go with it. We might, one day, our car might get stuck somewhere. I think it's important for us to be able to walk a great distance to go and get help if we needed to. If you're out on a hike and somebody gets hurt, do you have the ability to carry this person to safety if you had to? If your boat starts to sink, are you able to tread water? Are you able to swim to a landmark? You know, these are things being useful. Somebody is drowning. Are you able to go out there to swim to that person and bring them to safety? that's kind of what being useful is being able to react to these situations that are going to happen in life. And are you able to kind of to take that call and go out there and be helpful? Another thing that he really wanted to emphasize with this too is he's totally ridiculous. His family thinks he's ridiculous anyway. He has a bag of food in his car and supplies that will last him for up to 4 days. And he said, I lived in Utah. Sometimes you don't get many cars driving by. If you get stuck somewhere in some snow and you don't have a phone, or your phone's not functioning, or whatever it may be, are you able to survive? He's like, I have a daughter and I have a granddaughter. I put a backpack in their car. It cost me $20. It's that asymmetric wrist thing again. It cost me $20, and it could literally save my granddaughter's life. So, in his mind, it's well worth it. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one, man. Two great people, Mike Boyle, Dan John. They're the mentors that I wish I met them kind of before this weekend, and I didn't. But follow these guys. They're two great leaders in their field and two great guys too. So, hope you guys have a great day. Peace, everybody.